Welcome to Escaping Purgatory, a podcast where we rewatch Supernatural, then talk it through in the hopes we can finally escape this show.
Join us each week and leave comments on upcoming episodes, and together we can escape Supernatural Purgatory.
Well, hello.
Or how do they say it in the show? Purgatory? Ugh. It's not that many syllables in the word. Come on.
Purgatory.
Purgatory. It flows better, doesn't it?
Yeah. It feels weird now they're saying it. And I'm like, that's the name of the podcast. How did they know?
I mean, when it comes to like when they're in purgatory and they have to start escaping it, yeah, that's going to be weird.
It's going to get weird, right? It's going to get real weird real quick.
Real weird. The meta.
Yeah.
So hello.
Hi. Hello.
Hello. I really liked this episode, actually. I lived for the drama of it all.
Yeah, it was very Days of Our Lives. Yes.
And it's not because it happened in a hospital.
No, it was good. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was an in-between episode because like the next episode is obviously the finale of season 6. So that we're getting somewhere. But like it was a good episode despite that, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And like so we're doing season 6 episode 21, Let It Bleed. All throughout this episode, I was like, why couldn't have this been season 6? Because this is really interesting. You know? Yeah,
I know. I totally agree with you. Like this would have been just such better storylines all the way through. Yep. Like this could have easily been 3 to 4 episodes of like Dean trying to find Lisa and Ben and like headbutting against Cass and the whole thing with about like all of it. It could have been so spread out and they could have interspersed it with like Monster of the Week. So I don't understand season 6.
No.
I don't know.
Nope. Not at all. Not at all. But I'm glad we got it.
Yeah.
Oh, and so this episode was written by Sarah Gamble and directed by John Showalter. Sarah Gamble knows how to, when she wants to, knows how to get you in the heart. Yeah. This one was a very, like, the exchanges between Dean and Cass were really moving.
Yeah, I agree.
Who wrote the episode that they were last in, and I can't remember the name of that episode, because whoever wrote that, I think it was a first time writer of this season maybe. But I think they got Lisa and Ben more than Sarah does, because there were some things that happened with Dean and Ben that I wasn't too pleased about.
Yeah, I agree.
And like I don't think given the situation, I know it was urgent, but I don't think Dean would have responded in the way that he did.
Oh, I don't know. Truly. I have different thoughts on that, I feel.
Yeah?
Maybe.
Okay,
we'll see.
When we get there. I mean, this is right at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
And obviously, you've more likely watched it if you listen to us, but I don't want to get there just yet because we will go into that right now.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this episode. I thought, like, that was funny that, Sam basically was sat on his thumb the entire time.
He did nothing.
He did nothing.
And then, for plot reasons, he just got owned immediately.
Yeah, exactly.
It was so funny. He did, he basically pops at the beginning, you okay? And then, stuff happens, and at the end he's like, you okay? And it's completely shut down. That's it. That's it. That's, Sam's whole thing. It's great.
This episode. Oh, yeah, considering his contribution to the end of the last season, this feels a bit I don't know, a bit gypped, really.
Yeah. He also gets to say Moisha, which is definitely I feel like it was definitely a thing, playing off the French mistake, where they say, just the way he said it. Yeah. There are a couple of sad moments in this that I really enjoyed. I'll point them out to you.
You mean the 3 scenes that he's in?
Yeah, the 3 scenes he's in. They were quite good.
Oh. Yeah. I mean, we knew it was always going to be a Dean season under though, really. It started off with Dean. It was going to end with Dean.
It has to be because Cass is involved. You see?
Yeah.
How the two go together. They do become
They absolutely do. We're not talking about the clocks going back.
Stupid. Yeah. It's so dark.
Stupid. Anyway, I hate it. Hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you have anything you'd like to say? I've said a lot.
I don't actually. There was one major plot point in here that I'd completely forgotten, and I was like, "Whoa!"
Balthazar?
No, what's it?
No?
Dr. Vizjuk.
Oh yeah, yeah. Why her? Why her of everybody that they've come across?
I don't know. It's convenient, I feel. But like,
yeah, probably.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that. And then as soon as I was watching, I was like, oh yeah. I remembered Balthazar, unfortunately, because and I kind of forgot it was this episode that like that whole thing in the hospital happens at the end. I don't know why I thought it was next season, but okay. It's all big muddy puddle in my brain.
Yeah. I did know it was this season. For some reason I did remember that, but I thought it was in the room where Purgatory's going to open. I thought they were there as well. Okay. I don't know why I thought that. But I guess it's because it was another love interest of one of the three. Yeah,
so true.
You know,
well, yeah, two love interests really. Crowley said two. It's good. I really like this episode. It's very emotional, and I feel like it sets up a lot of Dean's character arc for the remaining seasons. I just feel like it's very good. It's very emotional.
It is very emotional.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't know. It's almost too much. Sometimes I'm like, oh, it's too sad, but it's also not sad at all in some ways. Because I also feel
I get what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think maybe right decisions were made, but also maybe wrong decisions were made. I mean, really cryptic. Let's just get into the episode.
So we have the recap, and it's that line that's always going to haunt me forever now, because both of them say it, which is, I know what I want, but I can't have it. Not the way that you live. I'm trying to get over you. Just the first part of that. Nope. And then there's this really sweet interaction. Well, not the end of the sweet interaction of Dean and Ben, where Ben says, you're walking out on your family. We get Dr. Vizak's intro from Like a Virgin. And then we get bits of like last episode where we see like Raphael telling Cass to kneel, and where Cass and Crowley are in hell and that they're going to open up Purgatory. And sort of like the connection between Balthazar and Cass. And then you have a little bit of, so they kind of mixed up the order of the last episode, because there's a bit where Dean is talking to Cass about, going after Purgatory, which is at the end of last episode, but then it goes further back in where Cass talks to Crowley about not killing the Winchesters, which was earlier in the episode, and then it switches back to the end of the last episode where Dean is saying like, you're like a brother to me, and if I'm asking you to do something, you gotta trust me, or I'm gonna stop you. And then Cass just says, I'm sorry, Dean. That's it.
It's good.
It is good. It's really, this episode cemented the breakup as well.
They're so broken up now. They're over.
They so are.
Yeah. But they're over, but they like still have feelings for each other, and it makes it really awkward when they meet. Yeah, it's so good.
It's so good. So we're in this office, and it comes up that it's March 15th, 1937 in Providence, Rhode Island, and there's a guy who we learn is H.P. Lovecraft, who's typing on a typewriter, and he's just finished his book, and it's all creepy happening, and he's like, the door is slightly open, so he gets up and closes the door, and then the window smashes in, and he's like, oh, I'm sorry, we didn't know, and then he like dies, and there's a blood splatter on the hand. I did look up when he died and like how he died. I was like, oh, was it like a violent? No, he died of like small intestine cancer.
Oh.
So it wasn't like this dramatic, but maybe it was.
Well, in this universe, it's a different universe to ours, so maybe this is why,
true.
right?
Yeah.
I completely forgot that like the actual H.P. Lovecraft was mentioned in Supernatural, and like that's how they were linking like basically, I guess, his stories to purgatory or whatever. I just so completely forgot. I guess Leviathans are kind of Lovecraftian, right? But
I guess so, but not like as, I don't know. I didn't quite like this tie-in.
yeah,
It felt more like, oh, we need a horror writer who's written about like weird things, so let's do that to then find, I don't know, I feel like it could have been any other writer. Like they could have just substituted Joe Blow. It didn't have to be Lovecraft. I'm just not a fan of his. That's kind of why.
Same. I don't know much of the like. I don't really like his writing, but like I know there's a lot of controversy around H.P. Lovecraft as well, and I just feel like there could have been another choice here. And like I just find his work really boring. I don't know if you ever try to read Lovecraft. It's just like I know some people like absolutely love it, and like I think the basic premise is kind of cool. But like the execution is not great. I'm probably like, I'm sure there's lots of Lovecraft fans out there. I don't know if there are anymore. But I feel like there are other people who do cosmic horror better. And I quite like the cosmic horror kind of genre.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I actually don't. I always say I enjoy cosmic horror, and I don't. I don't like the like nihilism of it. It's always got a bad ending.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean?
See, that's what I kind of like about it. I do enjoy like bad endings. Some as in like not bad endings like Supernatural bad, but like where the hero doesn't always win. I quite like that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think H.P. Lovecraft like kind of had to be involved in this, because it could have been, I don't know. It almost felt like they wanted another like Chuck tie-in, like another author to kind of set up this lore, but like it didn't really hit the same way. I mean, on a rewatch, it definitely doesn't. But I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, and then again, his story's kind of inconsequential.
Right, because it wasn't about him in the end. It was who they brought. Like the monster that they brought out isn't even given a name in this episode.
Yeah, like who is she? What is she? I want to know. Is she a Leviathan or is she like something else?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
She is definitely something else, because she says she's 900 years old.
Yeah, which
means that like she existed on Earth, and I don't think Leviathan existed on Earth that early. Like they was probably super in the beginning of time, and then they were sent to purgatory, or they originated in purgatory. I can't remember which way around it is.
Maybe she's a dragon.
Oh,
and that's why she's like hell-bent on killing all the other dragons, because she knows
maybe
like they're gonna try and reopen purgatory.
Yeah, because we don't really know, because if they're all souls, right, they can do the same things that demons can do, which is possess somebody. So there's no reason to say that like it couldn't be a dragon's soul.
And also, like, if you're a dragon, would you not collect the like one things that could kill you and like kind of keep them safe so other people can't find them?
And also treasure, which she did.
Exactly. Yeah, she's a hoarder, a museum hoarder. That belongs in a museum. Yeah, I reckon I'm calling it canon. I think it probably says. I bet you next episode they like name what she is. I'm calling dragon.
And I mean, that makes total sense, because she's the only one who knows about dragons. Yeah. She was talking about how they haven't existed in, I think it was 900 years actually.
Yeah, however long. And then she hoards swords, and she hoards the swords that could
riches.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
Yep. Cool. Sorted.
Solved that one.
Yep.
So yeah, after we see Lovecraft get murdered, we go to Bobby's house. They're all researching stuff. And we kind of come in on them like mid-conversation. So Sam's saying, well, at least you tried. So Dean's clearly told them about his conversation with Cass that he had at the end of last episode about like trying to talk him out to it. They sort of like get frustrated at what they're doing, and we realise that they're reading through all of Samuel's journals that they'd found in that like bunker place that he had. Because they're trying to find an answer to Purgatory and in Campbell's old journals, because he has not just his, but like basically the whole family tree's journals. And Bobby says, well, you know, it's not about these journals, it's about the one we don't have. And that Cass didn't just stop in to talk to Dean, he also stole this journal. And I couldn't help thinking, he does this again to Dean later when he steals, I think it's the coal. Because Dean comes out and he's like, he came into my room and played me. And because he like came in, I think, to maybe give him the mixtape, and then he stole the coal. Is that right? Am I getting that right? Basically,
it feels familiar.
Yeah. So like, I'm not saying like Cass is sneaky, but he pulled this at least twice.
Yeah. That's really funny.
Yeah. So Cass has stole the journal of Moisha Campbell. Sam goes, Moisha? Which already alluded to. And I do think it's a French mistake thing. Sam's like, oh yeah, we'll get it back. And Bobby's like, no, that's right, I already made a copy because I'm a paranoid bastard. It's so on brand.
Yep.
I did notice did you see this happen? That like, I can't remember which part of the conversation, but Sam in this setup is like sat behind Bobby's desk, and like Dean's in a chair, and then Bobby's like walking around handing him things, and Sam at one point gets handed something and he like knocks over the desk lamp and he just like writes it, and I thought like that's definitely like they should have reshot that.
I didn't see that. No, that's really funny.
It's really good.
I'm gonna have to go back
because he does it so casually, like it's just like, oh, let's put that back. That I guess I just kept going with the take. And then ended up using it, but I thought it was just really, it's quite funny because he fully knocks it
Well, didn't they say that Jared is like super clumsy on set?
Yeah,
like I feel like that's something that's been mentioned before.
I think I only noticed it because the desk lamp as well is like literally right in the middle of the shot. Like I'm really surprised they used it. Yeah, I just thought it was funny. So Dean reads this journal, and it says that Moisha went to go talk to Howard Phillips about the events of March 10th. And Bobby's like, that's March 10th, 1937. Like, he already knows. Like,
yeah.
So they're talking about, like, Dean's like, oh, well, who's this guy? And Bobby says, no, Phillips isn't really his last name. It's Lovecraft. And Sam's like, H.P. Lovecraft? It's like, let me see that. I think maybe that's when he knocks over the desk lamp.
Okay.
Maybe. Right, this was fully out of character, right? Was it not?
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
It was.
Because Dean has this whole bit of like, I don't know who H.P. Lovecraft is, and they explain to who he is, and he said,
yeah. No, I was too busy having sex with women.
I'm just like, sir, you know who Vonnegut is. You don't know.
Right. I thought the exact same thing. And like all the Star Trek references.
Yeah.
All the like the Western stuff. And I also love that there was like a qualifier too. It's like us having sex with women. It's like, okay, Dean, we don't need the qualifier. It's fine. Yeah. We know that you...
But this was so out of character. It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. Because he has so many pop culture references. How would Dean not know about H.P. Lovecraft? Like, he's a horror nerd.
Exactly. And like the Call of Cthulhu would have triggered it at least.
Ridiculous. Sarah Gamble, come on.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like, just, pair up with Edlund. He'll tell you which references he knows.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. They could have easily rewritten this as well with like, right, because we know that Dean has a tentacle kink. That is canon. That is fully canon.
That is. Yep. I forgot about that. Yep.
We could have made a joke about that. I said, if you want to do it right.
Yep. Exactly.
Anyway, so Bobby goes on and says, like, well, in Lovecraft's writing, this was for the audience, right? Because, like, I guess there are people who haven't heard of Lovecraft, so Dean is giving them that. He's like, the notion that comes up over and over again is opening doors to other dimensions and letting scary crap through. And he's like, you don't say. So they don't know how Lovecraft knew about purgatory. They don't know what he knew. All they knew is that Moisture Campbell paid him a visit. Which makes sense.
One thing that I guess the thing that I just don't like about the Lovecraft tie-in is that there's no, like, was he opening doors to find inspiration for his books? Or was he opening doors because he was part of the society that was just doing dumb magic stuff? Like, there was no clear sort of indication of like what, like, this is why I didn't particularly enjoy like this tie-in, because it didn't need to be like, it was just lame.
And also like later lore doesn't really work with it. Are you like telling me that in 1937 like the men of letters weren't aware of H.P. Lovecraft opening doors to different dimensions with his mates? Right. And I know they didn't like, obviously hadn't written that by then, but it doesn't work as a whole. I think that's why it feels very like wrong for the supernatural setting, I think.
Yeah.
And also it's kind of a letdown, right? Because like Cthulhu and all the like Lovecraftian monsters are like these huge cosmic entities. And I think the idea is that he was maybe getting his ideas from these, like the entities in purgatory. Like that, I feel like that's the like, whatever, the thing that they're trying to get at. But then ultimately, like the monsters in purgatory like they aren't cosmic horror entities, right? Not really.
No, they're people.
Yeah. And even, I guess the Leviathan comes close to like a Cthulhu-esque, like Lovecraftian monster with its like, all its tentacles and big heads. But like, within the limits of supernatural, where all monsters are just guys, is still kind of a letdown. If you were expecting like Lovecraftian horror going into season 7, you would be let down.
Yeah, you would. Yeah.
So and this felt like such a out of the blue, like cutting to Lisa and Ben, although we cut to Ben reading Cthulhu tales on his he's like reading a comic book and listening to music. We see Lisa with her new boyfriend Matt as well, and they're watching baseball together. And then, like, they all just get attacked by demons. Some demons just turn up and, like, Matt dies. He gets his, like, neck spun round. Poor Matt. He didn't even do anything. He's on screen for 2 full seconds. Ben watches all this through the staircase. Like, his, mum get kidnapped. Like, Matt getting murdered. And, like, he runs to his bedroom to go and call Dean. Like, and very quickly explains what's happening. The worst thing about this is like during this conversation we cut to Dean and like see his face.
Oh God, yeah.
Like the stress, because he's like, there's no, you know, he knows. I think that the demons are going to get him. Yeah, but he's trying to help him out. So he's asking what they were, because he doesn't know they're demons to start with.
Right.
He's like, you know, did you see their eyes? Did you see their teeth? Like, I really need to know. He tells Ben to go to his mum's closet because he left a shotgun in there, which I expect Lisa probably does still have, because she does know there's a possibility that like this could happen.
And we already know she's good with firearms, because she, like, before Dean left for one of the beginning episodes, he was like, let me see you go through it again, kind of thing.
Yeah. And so eventually Ben can't get to that, so Dean tells him to jump out the window. When he doesn't want to, is like, any bones you break won't compare to what they're going to do to you. You've got to jump. And Ben like fully trusts him. He's like gonna do it. He's gonna jump out his window, but then he's captured as well. And then like Dean is still on the phone saying like, I'm gonna come get you, like I promise, like it's gonna be fine, essentially. And Crowley picks up the phone and says, hello Dean, fancy a chat? Oh, yeah. Always a bastard.
He is a bastard. And like all through this, I was just thinking, I think you'd mentioned it, maybe not in the last episode, but an episode before, I don't remember. all of this stuff that Crowley does to Dean, and then they become best friends for like a summer.
Yeah, their summer of love.
I mean, I know he's like a demon at that point, but like even still, I feel like you wouldn't forgive this. But at the same time, at the end of this episode, you know that Dean wants to forget all about this chapter in his life.
Yeah.
So maybe that includes all the like horrible things that both Cass and Crowley did during this time.
See, that was really funny. It's like later seasons, I was always like, why is Dean like still so like got so much hate for Crowley sometimes? And I'm like, I completely forgot that he like kidnapped Lisa in bed. And I'm like, oh yeah, he did some really bad stuff to them, to be fair.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, you know, you have conflicting feelings about Crowley because at the end of season 5, he is the reason why a lot, like, they can defeat Lucifer. Mm-hmm. Like, he provides a lot of stuff for them.
Yeah.
And also gets Bobby to walk again and all this kind of stuff. So it's just like, yeah, he did all that, but he also turned, like, your love and best friend against you because he was jealous.
Yeah. He was jealous. It's true. Like, yeah, he's kind of a bad. I kind of sometimes forget Crowley's a bad guy. You know, like because he's just kind of like lovable. We love Crowley.
He is. We do.
And I've got to try and now keep this all in mind. I think on the rewatch of like all the bad stuff that he did. So I'm like, why are they so mean to him? Why are they constantly like pushing him into trunks and stuff? Oh wait, yeah, he's a rat bastard.
He is a rat bastard. Yep. Yep, and they're just sort of exerting their power over him most of the time, aren't they? Really,
it's such a little,
it's a little demon, little demon boy. Crowley is being a sarcastic little demon man. Mm-hmm. He's like, God, how long's it been, Dean, since my so-called demise? Yes. Dean is righteously angry. Mm-hmm. And he's like, you let them go right now or I swear. And he's like, right, yeah.
You'll rip me a cornucopia of orifices. Let's get to the bit where I tell you how this goes. Your chocolate's been in my peanut butter for far too long.
I was just like, what is that? What is that?
It's like weirdly sexual, but I can't explain why. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. I think it's because you're something in my something. Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah. So Crowley's like, well, you know, I've got your what are they, ex-lady friend and not kid, and I'm keeping them until I'm satisfied that you've backed the hell off. And Crowley's like, yeah, so you're so cute when you're threatening me. You know, I'm not going to hurt them provided that you and Jolly Green,
so good,
which is the Green Giant, right?
Yeah, Jolly Green Giant.
Yeah. Stand down. Got it. Splendid. Kisses. And then hangs up. Like, oh, you smarmy little.
I kind of forgot that this is the first time they've spoken since they thought he was dead.
True.
Like,
yeah.
I completely forgot that because obviously we've seen him on screen. I'm like, oh, actually, no. This is the first time that Crowley has spoken to them since he was like, ah!
Yeah. Bobby asks, what's the story? And Dean says, he said, Lisa men keep breathing as long as we sit on our thumbs. It's strange because Sam has more faith in Cass this episode. Yeah. Even though at last episode, he was like, did you take me out of hell wrong on purpose? Mm-hmm. So he really shouldn't be giving the grace that he is to Cass. Yeah. But somebody has to in this episode. And Bobby is busy, Dean is busy, so it has to be Sam.
I feel like Sam somewhat empathizes with Cass's position more than Dean does because he's been put in a similar position of having to like make a wrong choice for the right reasons. True. And yeah. I think the only thing he was worried about was that whole soul thing. And I think Cass's reaction, I think Sam believes him that he didn't mean to. And
okay, yeah.
I also think Sam asks this here because he knows. Right, Dean is too close to betrayal, right? They've just broken up. But Sam knows that Cass cares for them and Dean more so than the rest of them. Like, Sam's not stupid. So I think he asks this because, like, it's not a believable thing that Cass would do to hurt Dean this way by taking Lisa and Ben.
True. Yeah.
That was kind of a long way of saying that he kind of trusts Cass in this regard.
In this regard only, that he wouldn't hurt Dean.
Yeah. And like I said, I do feel like he slightly sympathizes with Cass more than Dean does because of the whole situation. Like, you know, Sam ultimately was possessed by Lucifer, which was a bad choice for the wrong reasons, and Cass is not doing something dissimilar, like getting possessed by a bunch of souls, you know, and opening a gate. Yeah. You know, they were opening the cage, blah blah blah. Like it's not a completely different situation that Cass is in. Cass is the Sam figure in this series, like season.
He is. Yeah. So yeah, because Sam asks them, you know, do you think Cass knows about this? And Dean immediately says, we have to assume that he does.
So what are we going to do? I'll tell you what we're not going to do. Sit here. I'm going after him.
Sam's like, I'm going with, because, you know, I have nothing else to do. And Dean's like, no, you and Bobby have to stay on the Lovecraft thing. Cass is already ahead of us. Sam's like, no, I'm going to stay with you. You can't do this alone. Because he knows Dean. He knows that Dean's going to go off on the deep end and not see things clearly and get stuck, which he does. He gets stuck in, like, revenge mode.
Yeah. Drinking and torturing.
Yeah, exactly. And Bobby can take care of the case.
Yeah.
Bobby also wants to give up on the case, and Dean's like, no, this is a big ball. We can't drop it now. And Bobby's like, okay, so, you know, how are you going to find Lisa and Ben? Bobby drives off somewhere. We don't know where he's going. But then you see Sam and Dean doing a summoning ritual. I couldn't tell which one they were doing because I feel like the angel and the demon ones are quite similar.
Yeah, I agree.
You have to like look at the symbols to really know. But they are summoning Balthazar. Because of course they are.
Yeah.
And Balthazar is just like...
I'm sorry, boys. Do I look like a manservant to you? No? No? Then quit ringing for me, please.
Balthazar explains that, you know, he was in the middle of some sexy times. Or potential sexy times. And he's like, that's important. And Sam just is like, Crowley's alive. And you can tell through all... So angels are really bad at lying. Even Balthazar is really bad at lying at this point. Unless they've had time to think about the lie, I guess. Because of the like whole Titanic thing.
Yes.
Like that felt very believable, whereas this one doesn't. Because you can tell that that's caught him off guard.
Yes.
Because he's like, well, Cass already told me. He's like, well, have you, you know, did you tell you that Crowley's butt buddies? You smug little dick. You know, and Sam says, handshake deal, go halfsies on all the souls of purgatory. He fell you in on that? And he's like, well, yes, of course he did. Yes. And it's like, no, he didn't. And they pick it up. They're like, of course, you know, I can read it all over your face.
Yeah.
And Dean's like, look, Crowley and Cass took two people who are very important to me. And Balthazar's like, and I care about this because maybe there's a shred of decency underneath this crappy, this snarky crap. They're innocent people and I'm asking for your help. And he's like, yeah, fair enough. And then just leaves.
Yeah. I really liked this whole bit because I think he's like stood on a car, is he, in front of them? So they kind of have to look up at him. Is that correct?
Yeah. He's on top of like a pile, because they're still in the salvage yard. So he's on top of like a pile of cars. Yeah.
Which I really enjoyed because it did feel like an angel appearing to them, like on top of this like pile of cars with like a drink in hand. Like, I don't know, there was something really good about that. I guess like summing up the current situation of heaven, like
yeah,
Balthazar.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's great. I really like his character. Sebastian Roche is really good at playing Balthazar as well. Like the caught off guard lying bit was just it's great. I don't know, it's just really well done.
It is, yeah. I cannot remember what happens to him. I feel like it's like next episode is his last episode, or maybe
I remember.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh no. He obviously dies tragically. Of course he does. To save the Winchesters or Cass, it's either one of those situations.
Oh, it's so worse than that. Oh, you're gonna hate it. Oh, Annabelle.
Oh God. All right, here we go then. So they're really upset, and Sam suggests calling Cass because maybe he doesn't know. He said, we're not calling Cass. We then cut to Bobby, who is posing as a journalist, and he's like talking to a man named Judah who's very, very obsessed with H.P. Lovecraft.
Red flag. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's talking about how like Lovecraft should be taught in schools because he's up there with Dickens and Coons and all those people. Yeah. And Bobby's like, yeah, that's the angle that I'm going for with my piece. And he's, Bobby's trying to get out information from him that like he has a private collections of his letters and that like he says he must be catnap to all the ladies. And he's like, I've had a long-term relationship online. So, and like Bobby's like, yeah, sure you do. Like in his face, he doesn't say it out loud. Yeah. So he like kind of skips over that and says, I'd like to talk about the last few years of Lovecraft's life, specifically around the events that happened on March 10th. And Judah's like, oh, so you working with the other guy? He's like, other guy? The guy in the trench coat looks like Columbo, talks like Rain Man. And Bobby's like, right, yeah, no, we're competitors, rival magazines. And so Judah goes on to tell him that like there was a party on March 10th with 6 of his friends, and like really they were worshippers of in a black magic cult, and they performed a ritual, something big. And it was, to open a door to another dimension.
Why would they do that?
To see what's out there. Maybe it's friendly.
It's never friendly. I mean, I imagine. So, did it work, the spell?
And Judah goes on to say, like, well, there's no mention of Cthulhu, so I guess not. But there were, like, other things mentioned in these private letters. And he goes up to, like, get this folder with all of them in, but it's empty. And he's like, they were right here, like, I swear they were right here. He's like, and Bobby's like, well, he's not like an invisible guy, could just pop in and steal him, right? He's like, right. And he's like, okay, well, I'll leave you and, call me if you find him. And he starts to, he's in a basement, so I'm assuming he lives in his mom's basement. That's probably the implication there. And like, Bobby looks like annoyed.
Do you think that invisible line that Bobby said was for Cass's benefit in case he was listening? Right. I don't know. It just felt like he wasn't saying it to Judah. It's like,
I think he was saying it to himself.
Yeah, I know. I just think it would be funny. Like Cass was there, and like, oh, so goodness sake. Yeah. I enjoyed it. I know.
I did too. Yeah, that was good.
I love that he like straight up just says that and then leaves. The guy's like, what?
Yeah. I'm here for a piece about these letters and you don't have the letters, so peace.
Yeah, it's essentially that, to be fair.
So Sam is outside just pacing up and down because, like I said, he's got nothing to do this episode. He's just there.
Just minding his brother.
Guardian. Yeah. And he's on the phone with Bobby and he's talking about how Lovecraft tried to open a door and that nothing really happened the night of the door opening, but afterwards everyone ended up dead or disappeared within a year. And so Sam's like, so what are you going to do now? This is a lot of like, so what are you going to do now? I don't know, I'm going to do something else. Where did he find out that there was somebody else in the room? That's what I don't.
He just said,
know
I dug. That's as much as we get. Yeah, he did some research that we didn't see.
He did research. Yeah. Fair. And there was a 9-year-old boy, the son of a maid that worked there, who had witnessed what happened but didn't die. And he is in a ward because of what he saw. They locked him up. They locked a 9-year-old up for 83 years. That seems a little insane. Yeah. Pretty sure that's inhumane considering he didn't have any sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Criminal record. He was just a 9-year-old boy. Yeah. But there you go. This is America.
That's the 30s for you.
Yes, exactly. Bobby asks after Dean to, if they've got a lead on Lisa and Ben. And Sam's like, we're making a few inquiries. And like inside the garage, you see Dean killing a demon.
Yeah.
And there's like other demons dead on the floor. And I was like, the thing that stood out to me was that Dean is sweating.
Yeah.
Like, we never see Dean look disheveled
That's so true.
in this way.
Yeah, you're so right, actually. Yeah. He gets bloody, but not, like, no exertion on his face.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And, like, there's a little bit, like, in the next bit, when Sam comes inside, and you see, like, anyway, you see Dean's neck and it's also like super sweaty.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is really, really weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
You're so right. They don't sweat.
no, they don't. They're just clean boys all the time.
Boys all the time. That's so weird. Yeah. So I think it's like, the exertion and the stress and the drinking, like that he's supposed to look like he's losing it. Yeah. I love that.
And because he is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he's on to the next person because he's just killed this last demon, and he strapped the demon into the chair. And the demon's like, I don't know anything. And he's like, yeah, we'll see. He goes over to a table as Sam walks in and like he's just drinking some whiskey. And Sam's like telling him, you're running on whiskey and coffee and whatever else you're taking. Probably in reference to like, you remember at the like halfway through the season after Sam gets his soul back, he like has a bottle of pills.
Oh, that's so true, actually. Like, that's never really mentioned much, but like, what else is Dean taking? I feel like
stuff he shouldn't be.
Barbiturates, I guess, something like that. Like,
probably, yeah.
Didn't they like? I don't know if this is like urban legend or is it actually true, but like during World War II, they used to give soldiers like cocaine, essentially, right, to like keep them going.
I mean, it sounds
and there was this like one Norwegian guy who like took all of his supply because he was like stuck in the middle of the snow. And like straight up like just murdered like a whole platoon of like German soldiers, like Nazis, and then like carried on, and it's just like his one man army, like, but he was like fully hopped up on just like cocaine. It's like it's crazy. It's a crazy. Again, I don't know if it's true or urban legend because I read it on the internet, but it's wild to me. Maybe it's that. I think that's how they get through the hunts.
I mean, yeah, surely. And Dean's not having, like, he doesn't care for the concern because he's obviously thinking about Lisa and Ben and like all the horrible things that potentially be happening to them at this time. But like Crowley does keep his word.
Yeah.
But he also manipulates his word. Like he'll say that, I mean, we see it in this episode, I won't touch the Winchesters, but I'll hurt the Winchesters. Yeah. So it's just like, I'm not going to hurt Ben and Lisa, but I could do something else to them. So like, but the thing is, Crowley told you to stop. Surely it'll get back to him that like a whole bunch of demons are going missing and getting killed. Like, anyway, but it is.
The thing is, for Crowley though, it still works in his favor because the time he's there spending looking for Ben and Lisa, because they were never going to not do that, is time they're not spending stopping him from opening Purgatory. Right? It's just another distraction.
Right, actually, that's exactly what he says in the next scene. So you're completely right. But yes,
I was paying attention.
You were, and I apparently was not. So yeah, Dean's like, I'll kill enough of these, and eventually, they'll tell me where Crowley is. And Sam offers to take over because Dean needs a break, and he's like, no.
No thanks. Dean, say him back off. Lisa and Ben, wherever they are, there's 100% on me. And if they are hurt, I'll yell if I need you.
Oh, so like, just ask for help, Dean. There is an element of this of like, you can't torture these guys as well as I can, I feel as well. Because he did Apprentice under Alistair for like 30 odd years. No, 10 or kind of, I guess it doesn't count. Does it count the amount of times you're being tortured as well as our torturing? But yeah, so, and also the whole like blaming himself for this whole situation. It's again, like it's not really his fault, like, because he did leave them behind when he started hunting again. But like, I know it's sad that just his presence puts them in danger, but I guess this whole episode is kind of about, to be honest.
Yeah,
it sucks. It sucks for him so bad. It really does. And yeah, I feel very much the haunting of John Winchester in this episode. Like, I feel his presence.
For sure,
is with us.
He's in the room with us.
Because although we know we saw like we saw Sam kind of become John Winchester during like Mystery Spotlight. We saw that happen like quite quickly. Right. We don't really see it happen to Dean at any point. He tends to go like the self-sacrifice route. I mean, John eventually does like sacrifice himself to like get answers, if that makes sense. Like, because, you know, he makes that deal. But it takes him like a long time to get there. And I do feel like Dean is similar in that way, that like he'll try everything else. Like, no, I didn't mean like that. Dean is a bit different, that he'll try the self-sacrifice first. If that makes sense. Right. Whereas like John and Sam kind of take the long way to self-sacrifice. Does that make sense? Right. But yeah, in this case, you kind of see that he's taking that long route because he feels like he has someone to save through this kind of like revenge path. It was just interesting. I don't know. He felt very much like John all the way through this episode from the moment that he found out that like Ben and Lisa had been taken.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Yeah. So we follow Sam outside of the place where Dean is torturing the demons, and he prays to Cass, and he tells them what's going on.
But if you have any heart whatsoever, bring him back to us, man. Come on. Please. I'm begging you. I am begging you. Do you understand?
Nothing happens, so Sam sort of walks away. But as he sort of walks past the camera, you see Cass appear, and like he's there, but like unseen. Yeah, it's just like, oh no. But Cass does do something with that information. He goes straight to Crowley, and he's just like, he storms in. And Crowley's like, oh, sweetie, you look tense. I'm never not going to see them as like being lovers, and like Cass has been cheating on Dean while they're on a break. Anyway,
I know, right? It's embedded in your brain now, and it works. It works so well for their dynamic. I think they kind of hate each other. This is like they're fully rebound. Yeah, it's so good.
Yep. And Cass says, you know, you took Ben and Lisa.
I told you not to touch Sam and Dean. I've respected that. I'm merely exploiting the obvious loophole.
You know, being a smarmy businessman. You know, I've taken the woman and the boy so that your little heroes will be scouring the earth for them, therefore not you and not me. Everybody wins. Cass is like, well, you know, you should have talked to me about it first. And he's like, well, I'd rather ask for forgiveness than permission. Yeah. And Cass asks where they are. And he's so sarcastic because he makes like the zipper movement and like puts the key in his pocket that, you know, he's locked. He's not going to tell him that. And Cass is like, you're not going to harm them. And Crowley's like, you know what? You're maxed out on putting humans out of bounds. I'll deal with them as I please. Want me to stop? Go find frickin' Purgatory. I wonder how long it took Mark Sheppard to not say purgatory.
Yeah,
like we are.
There you go, convention question. How did you switch from purgatory to purgatory? Goodness me, it's hard.
It is. I don't like it. And then as Crowley's finishing off saying this, Cass like touches the side of the head and we hear the like angel radio sound, and Crowley is like, oh, the bat phone, they never call during business hours, do they? And he says, I'll be back. We're then in a random forest that I was like, oh, this kind of looks like Purgatory.
It does look a lot like Purgatory. It really does.
And it's actually like a really nice little area. There's like a little creek and it's like bubbling water and stuff.
They use this forest so much, I swear, especially in the later seasons. This forest is like everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah. No, it's... I feel like cover this in snow. This is where Cass was last episode.
Absolutely, 100%. I feel like that bit where they're like fighting those, is it like cavemen? That's definitely in this forest. This is like, that's like season, I can't remember. Yeah. Like this, there's a lot.
There's a lot. And it's Balthazar who summoned him. And he kind of cuts straight to the chase.
Can I ask you a direct question?
Of course.
Are you in flagrante with the King of Hades?
And of course, Cass lies. And Balthazar's like, you know, you're always such a terrible liar. So it's true. And then he asks why. And he says, it's a mean to an end. Balthazar, you understand that. He's like, oh yeah, absolutely. But like, what exactly is the end? You know, raid Purgatory, snatch up all the souls. And then Cass says, win the war. And Balthazar says, and I can only assume that you'd be the vessel.
Suck up all those souls into yourself. All that power.
It's the only way.
Or too much juice for you. In which case, you explode, taking a substantial chunk of the planet along with you.
Cass is extremely prideful. He's like, oh, you know, that's not going to happen. Balthazar then asks, you know, just tell me it's entirely risk-free. And Cass admits that, okay, it's not, you know, I'm sorry that I didn't tell you, but I need to know, are you with me or not? And Balthazar lies to Cass here too and says, you know, you're certifiable, but fine. In for a penny, in for a pound. And he's like, well, how did you hear about this? And he's like, well, you know, you're howler monkeys, of course.
Is Cass the Wicked Witch of the West? Like, what is this? Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah, okay.
Always defying gravity.
Yeah.
You could look at it that way too. You know, their church worked up about that kidnapping business, you know.
I thought this scene was really interesting because, like, I think this is the first time we've heard that, like, Cass could explode.
Right. We haven't heard any, like, we've heard that there's all these souls and, like, it will power you, but this is supernatural. It's never going to come without a price. We should know that.
Well, we thought the downside was going to be, like, monsters getting through Purgatory, right? Not, like, Cass exploding.
Right. True. But what does that mean? Does that mean that monsters will be released?
Well, that's it as well. And
that's true.
Like, surely if Dean and Sam knew that was one of the things that could happen, I don't know. I feel like they'd be trying to talk him out of it in a different way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, you're right. I do think that's true.
Because at the moment they think, oh no, he's going to open this gate and all these monsters are going to get out. That's why that's a bad reason for this happening. Not like, oh, our friend is perhaps walking to his death in pursuit of power. Again, the Sam Cass parallels here of like what they were doing last season. I feel they are definitely there. But yeah, I thought it was interesting because it kind of brushed over a bit. But you're like, wait, Cass could explode? He's already exploded once.
Let's rewind this.
Yeah.
Well, no, twice.
Okay, you're right, twice.
We're then in the institution where Westboro is being held. And again, he mentions Cass. He's like, you know, you're not with the other reporter, are you? Liar, that one. Because clearly Cass can't lie. Not who he says. And Bobby's like, no, I'm not affiliated with this paper. I just have a couple of questions about the dinner party in 1937. And you can tell that he's kind of fed up because everybody wants to talk about Lovecraft. And he's like, well, you know the story. They did their spell. They said it all failed, but he then sort of looks at Bobby and is like, do you believe in monsters? And Bobby just straight up says, yep. And he's like, you know, anyone catches you saying that, you're going to be in here for the rest of your life. And Bobby's like, well, you saw what you saw, and you know, you tell me and I'll buy it straight. And Westboro says, the spell worked, a door opened and something came through, but it was invisible. No one saw it except me. And he knows that because it took his mother, took over her. She wasn't the same. She even smelled different, which kind of leads into your dragon theory. Cause I'm sure they have like a burning smell.
Brimstone-y,
yeah. And then she disappeared, and surprise, one by one, they all started dying. And Bobby like condoles him, says, I'm sorry about your mum. And Westboro's like, you're the first person that ever said that, which I think's really sad.
Yeah, that's really, really sad.
And he's like, hey, do you want to see a picture? And then he hands over the picture, and it's got Eleanor written on the back with the date 1935, and he just says, well, I'll be damned.
Yeah. And clearly Cass didn't get to see that picture because he wouldn't have said, I'm sorry about your mother.
Right. Exactly. And it's just because somebody like made a connection with this guy, and I think it's clearly because Bobby like has the exact same experience of somebody taking over a loved one, his wife, and her being completely different, and then like disappearing or getting killed. And so he's been in that same situation.
Yeah, and he could have totally ended up like this, right? If he'd gone fully off, like, my wife's been possessed by a demon,
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. So back with Dean, and he's filling up a syringe with blood, and as he walks over the devil's trap, his foot breaks the markings.
Rookie mistake.
Right. I mean, because he's tired, he's running on whiskey and coffee and whatever, so he's not paying attention to these little things, and of course it's going to wear out eventually. Or because it sounded kind of wet when he brought up his foot. So I'm wondering if he like resprayed it and like didn't think about not stepping on it, because it's usually wet paint on dry paint that will cause that to happen. So the demon notices that the devil's trap is now gone, and like Dean is going on some tirade about what he's going to do to this person or this demon, because he doesn't see them as people anymore, and gets right into his face, and then the demon's eyes go black, and he like telekinesis him across the room, and the demon breaks out of his bond, and they start to go for a huge fight, and he's like Dean has basically been monologuing at all of these demons, clearly, because he's like, you need to stop talking, you miserable sack. And I'm just like, Dean's just been like letting out all his words.
Absolutely, 100%.
To all of these demons.
Complaining about Cass, complaining about the breakup. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then Cass appears behind the demon and like smites him, and Dean looks at Cass in shock. And it's just like...
What you said is really interesting, because there's a big comparison with how Dean treats demons in this episode, where we see at the end, because he's fully torturing these demons, knowing that they are like human vessels with people inside who can like basically feel everything that he's doing to them, and he like does not care. I will never get over this in Supernatural, how they just decide that the vessels of demons aren't people anymore. Like unless it's someone that they care about. It's so hypocritical. It bothers me a lot.
Yeah. I was thinking a similar kind of thing, especially when he's walking through the warehouse, and I was just like, where's that tape recorder?
Yeah. Where's that exorcism? Yeah. Where is it? Because you totally could be. How have they not perfected a technique to like exorcise a demon and like trap it and then like question it, so they could at least save the vessel? How are they not experimenting with this, or like figured out how to do it by now? It's just they don't try.
Right. And it's almost like the trauma of Sam with his powers have made them forget about everything that they learned about demon like exorcisms.
But then Dean does know, because he uses it in this freaking episode.
You're right.
I mean, like, they have both things here, where he's like fully torturing people who are just vessels, and he also has like, oh no, I must not kill this person because they are just a vessel. It's just the double think involved is wild to me.
Yeah. Do we see anybody else that they care for get possessed by a demon?
I can't think of another example right now, I don't think. I think this is one of the last ones.
Obviously there's Jack, but that's right at the end, and we already know that Jack's dead at that point, so it's kind of like a different situation.
Like, no, I don't think so. There was obviously like, I guess only Dean. Like,
and that's a completely different
as well.
Like, situation with
No, I don't think...
He's not possessed. He is one.
I don't think so. I mean, I guess maybe a comparison would be Bobby and the Khan worm is kind of a similar thing. And again, they could have just killed him, but they didn't. I mean, they tried to get it out of his head rather than just like straight up shooting him like they did with Samuel Campbell.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
But that didn't work though, right?
Yeah, that's true as well. I don't know, it's just a big old double standard that really bothers me because I'm like, we're saving people hunting things unless you're possessed by a demon. Well, I'm sorry, but you're just screwed, aren't you? Like,
you're screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a tough one.
It is.
Yeah. So, Dean and Cass have a post-breakup standoff. This is so awkward. It's so awkward. They're like barely looking at each other. I can't believe that that Dean didn't call for Cass at the beginning. Like Sam was trying to convince him to. I can't believe that he actually didn't. And like the only reason I can think of is that he's like so mad at him, right? Mm-hmm. But like, surely he would do anything to save Lisa and Ben, including like calling Cass. It doesn't make sense to me that he didn't call him in the beginning. But I guess unless he actually really doesn't think that Cass knows where they are. Maybe he also deep down believes that Cass wouldn't do this to him. That's why he doesn't want to call him and like confirm whether he did or not.
I think so. Like he doesn't want Cass to have any saving graces right now because he's so angry at him.
I agree. Yeah. And also like if he had taken Lisa and Ben and it confirmed it, like, I think that was just fully like break their relationship.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
So Dean says,
I didn't ask for your help. Well, regardless, you're welcome.
So snarky. So he asks Cass why he's here, and he's like, well, I had no idea that Crowley would take Lisa and Ben. Cass says, you don't believe me, and Dean says, I don't believe a word that's coming out of your mouth. But I think, again, like we just talked about, I think Dean on some level believes that Cass wasn't actually involved in this and it was just Crowley.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think so too.
He's still involved though, because obviously he's working with Crowley. So it's like tangentially, this is Cass's fault.
And also, Dean knows that Cass is not going to stop working with Crowley, even after all of this.
That's so true as well. Like, this isn't going to be the thing that, like, I suddenly can't work with Crowley because he did this. Like, there doesn't seem to be a line that Crowley can cross. And Cass says, I thought you said that we were like family. Well, I think that too. Shouldn't trust run both ways? And, like, he's right. But I feel like now's not the time.
This is what you should have said at the end of last episode.
Yeah, like, trust me, trust me on this. Like, I trusted you.
He kind of did. I guess he's trying to reiterate the point. Yeah. So fair enough.
I still can't get past the fact that they like didn't sit him down and like fully find out what his plan was and then like tell him why it was bad, or like maybe in ways that they could help him. Instead, it was just, no, don't do this. Because Cass's only other option is death. It's literal death. Like, Raphael's going to kill him. But they don't seem to know that because they haven't sat down and freaking talked about it. It's like, come on.
Yeah, that's true.
So frustrating. This is so frustrating. Just talk to each other.
Communication, people.
Anyway.
Because all Cass has said is that, like, Raphael wants to restart the war. Which I feel like he thinks that's good enough to tell them. But like he's not making it real simple for them. And I think that's the problem. Like, it's like restarting the apocalypse means you and Sam have to fight each other again, which you guys don't want to do. Like there are no other options. And also I'm going to be killed if I don't stop like this.
I feel like he hasn't told them that Raphael's planning to take Michael and Lucifer out the cage, because that would be like big red flags to them. He hasn't told them that, he is the leader of the other side of the Civil War. Like, I feel like he's kind of like mentioned it vaguely that there's this war going on. I don't think he's told them that like he is the leader, like, and then that Raphael's going to kill him because of that. Like, he hasn't told them that either. No. There's so much he hasn't told them. He didn't tell them about why really they were opening Purgatory, about the souls and why he needed that power. He hasn't told them about the possible risks of that. Like, Cass, my man, like, I feel like if he'd... And I'm kind of with Dean on this. If he'd clued them into the plan, or like at least told them about the problem that he had, like properly told them about it, they would have helped him in some way. And maybe it might have ended in them still opening Purgatory. Like that possibly could have happened. But they would have done it together. And I think that's the thing that Dean's annoyed about. Like they're not doing this together.
Because they're a family. They do everything together.
Yeah. But then for Cass's side, I understand as well. He didn't want to like burden them with more issues after they just like saved the world. He kind of thinks that they've kind of done their part. That was a whole bit with him watching Dean raking leaves, thinking like, he's done enough for me. I shouldn't have to burden him with this. And then by the time he was in it, he was in it too deep to then go to them. It's a whole like, it's a difficult situation.
Shouldn't trust run both ways?
Guess I just can't.
You are messing with Crowley. I can't think about it. I can't think about the two of you together.
You're breaking me apart.
I love this little like list bit from Cass because it's actually so true, and everything we've been saying of like, Dean, I do everything that you ask. Like I always come when you call. I am your friend, and still you lack faith in me, and now you threaten me. I just saved you again.
Has anyone but your closest kin ever done more for you? All I ask is this one thing.
Ooh. Laying some truth down, Cass. Like, yeah. And
do it.
And I feel like it gives Dean some pause because he does like look at him like for a second before answering of like, trust your plan to pop Purgatory. Cass says, I earned that. I like, kind of, but for the reasons I just outlined of like not telling the whole truth, like, no. As well.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Anyway, so Cass says, well, look, I came to tell you that I will find Lisa and Ben. I'll bring them back. Stand behind me the one time I ask. And it does, I don't think Cass meant it to, but it does read like a threat. As in, like, I will go get them, but you need to get on my side. Whereas I actually think he's saying, I'll go get them, and I'm still asking you to, like, be my friend. But, like, it's not conditional. Because a lot of Dean's relationships are kind of transactional, I think he reads it as conditional.
True.
Because he says, you're asking me to stand down. He's like, that's the same ransom note that Crowley handed me. You know that? Well, no thanks. I'll find them myself. In fact, why don't you go back to Crowley and tell him that I said you can both kiss my ass. And like Cass disappears, and like Dean does this really like broody thing of like biting his knuckles, like, oh that hurts so much.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I think Dean read it as transactional where Cass didn't mean it like that. And then once Cass realised that's how Dean was reading it, he was like got so frustrated with him that he's just like this, he left. He's just like, well, I'm out.
I'm out. I can't talk to this man anymore.
They are so over. Like, I love this so much because it's like such the end of relationship vibes of like, I'm so done with you. Like, I still love you, but I'm so done with you. Like, I'm ready to move on. Oh. So Bobby's gone to this cabin, and we see Eleanor Vizhuk. I don't know if I'm saying her name right anymore. She's drawn some like protection on her door, so we see that as she knocks and enters. And there's like something between them because they kind of react to seeing each other after all this time. I get
rekindled lovers.
I guess to Bobby, she probably hasn't aged as much as well because like in the picture she looks similar as well. Like so true. He must seeing her again must confirm everything. Like she should be looking older. Anyway, so they go into the cabin and Bobby's very relaxed around her, but then like he doesn't realize that they slept together, so I'm thinking like he's probably thinking, well, she's gonna kill me, she would have done it by now.
That's true. Yeah.
So she asks how did Bobby find her, and he says, well, you know, we weren't together long, but I know a thing or two about you. I know your safe houses, and let me tell you, this one ain't all that safe. And he has a drink that she hands him and says like, look, I know what you are, Ellie. And he brings out the picture that her son gave him, and gives it to her and is like, you're not exactly from Milwaukee, are you? And she just like admits it. She says, not exactly. Bobby says like, I wouldn't have minded, but you kind of fibbed about your age too. She says, just slightly, 900 years. I guess all of them have a relationship with supernatural beings. There's like, Sam, there was Maddie and Ruby and like others. For Dean, there's obviously Cass, and then for Bobby, it's Ellie. Constantly smudging that black and white into grey of monsters. So he asked, what's her game? And he's like, why are you here? Eve came through and raised all kind of hell, but like, you've been here for how long? And like, what's with the slow burn? And she says, well, we're not all alike. And he's like, monsters? She said, if it makes you feel better to call me that, fine. Bobby says, like, you're from freaking purgatory and you never thought to mention that the whole time you slept with me. She says, I am what I am, Bobby, and I happen to be your friend. And like, that's so true of like a lot of the monsters they meet and like the angels and stuff. Like, yeah, I am, but I'm also your friend. Like,
And also, when they first met her, she wasn't under the influence of Eve, because that's the episode that Eve comes out. And now she's not under the influence of Eve because Eve is dead.
That's so true. Yeah, so she's not a threat at all. If she wasn't a threat before, she's not a threat now, right?
Exactly.
So, she says,
I didn't ask those idiots to crack the door. I just happened to be the thing that fell through. And let me tell you something, you are lucky it was me.
I'm on my own side. Like, I don't care about she's saying, like, I don't care about all of this. Like, I like it here. And I don't want to see this place turned into some bloody wasteland. And Bobby's like, so you killed H.P. Lovecraft? And she says, please, that guy couldn't even write hello.
Yep. I'm with you, sister.
So she says, like, I spent 75 years trying to keep Purgatory closed. Why do you think I gave Dean the sword? Like, to stop Eve. And like, hey, you guys were supposed to kill the damn dragons too. So Bobby believes her, and he's like, look, it all comes down to one angel. He wants Purgatory and he's looking for you. And she doesn't really like take him seriously. She just says, thanks for the heads up.
Now, the only way I can stop him is to get ahead of him. So I need to know how you open the door.
No.
That she should also tell him how to open Purgatory. I guess maybe there's like specific components. Maybe he thinks he can like destroy them or like find some way. Yeah. If he knows the like makings of the spell, maybe he can figure out something that would counter it. I don't know. But she refuses to tell him, and says like she has basically her own thing going on, like she can protect herself. And that's kind of the end of that. Like, Bobby kind of just gives up.
Yep. So I think it's kind of interesting. Even she thinks that like all of the monsters will just be released onto Earth.
True, yeah.
And not like that somebody's going after the souls. Like, I guess because she somewhat had a connection with Eve, and Eve was like, I'm going to turn everybody since the balance is all off.
But then I guess she has inside knowledge. Like, she must know about Leviathan, and so must Eve. But no one else knows about that, including, I don't think, Crowley and Cass.
Right, yeah.
So, yeah, they might absorb all the souls, but like the Leviathan presumably don't have souls. They're like too old, right?
I think so. I can't remember exactly what they're supposed to be.
Because I don't think they ever actually died. They were just imprisoned in Purgatory. So technically, like, their souls can't be absorbed, presumably. So they will get released. But like, I guess that's what she's trying to stop, because yeah, they could suck up all the souls in Purgatory, but Leviathan would still be there and still get out.
Right.
And that's kind of the like bad thing that's going to happen with opening Purgatory that Cass and Crowley maybe don't know about. Yeah. I don't think they do. I think it's expected to be like monster hell.
Yeah,
but then why would they think that? Because like hell has demons and heaven has angels. So why doesn't Purgatory have a thing?
You're so right.
They're just dum-dums.
Well, and here's the problem, right? Why doesn't an angel know about Purgatory? Why doesn't an angel know anything? Like, if they've been around since the beginning of time, or very close to that, surely they would know that what is in purgatory and how it was created and where it is. I do feel like they, and this is a problem with Supernatural, because they have to keep adding to it. Like when we get to Metatron, surely he knew,
right?
Because he was in contact with God and God told him everything. Like,
well someone has to know, because they eventually tell like Sam and Dean next season that they're like Leviathan. They give it a name and then explain that like God put them there. So like maybe they do know. I'm not sure.
Well, I guess we'll find out either way.
Maybe they think that like by absorbing the souls, they can just like take away that power from, so that they wouldn't really be a threat anymore, right?
Well, so doesn't Cass also absorb the Leviathan? So maybe he thinks he can hold on to, like, he's strong enough to contain them and use them.
Yeah, his whole like hubris of like, I can just do this. I'm a strong vessel. Yeah. No, you're right. I think
because God has chosen me.
I think you're totally right.
Which, okay, then begs into question the whole thing with death being like, it's about the souls, and everybody else saying it's about the souls. Like,
it's not actually.
I feel like it is not. Like, yeah, it's like, oh, I don't know. I don't like the emphasis on that it's about the souls when all that they're talking about is that it generates power, and that's it. Like, it's not. But that's not it, surely. Anyway, I don't know. It got under my skin in this one a little bit because of the whole Leviathan
They have to give them something to fight over, I guess, and like they need some way to them to power up over each other, because Crowley's not like, he's the king of hell, but he's not Lucifer, right? So he needs some kind of like power up.
No.
Otherwise, it's just completely one-sided, and Raphael was always going to win. So there has to be something, some kind of currency in power for them to gain. Like, I get it. It's a bit strange. Like, this is the problem with like constantly powering things up, like Naruto style, is then you have to find something equally powerful that can beat them. Yeah, right. Okay. We go back to Bobby's kitchen. Obviously, Bobby's not there. He's busy doing Bobby things. Sam is in the kitchen, and Balthazar suddenly appears in the dark. And he just says, "Drinking your feelings, Sam. I thought that was your brother's bag." And he just, Santa says, "Stressful times." So Balthazar's here, and he's so reluctantly, but he's like, "I'm on your team, you bastards." Like, you won me over with your charm. Sort of.
I think more it's like, I need to join forces with you to stop Cass because he's going to kill himself. And he's my friend.
Yeah, you're the only ones who can actually stop him. God damn it, I hate you so much. Yeah.
And we should believe you. Why?
Would you believe I had a shred of decency?
No.
And he goes, "Okay, you're right. Like, it's about survival. Like, I asked Cass some questions. I didn't like his answers. He seems awfully sure of himself. For a man who wants to swallow 1 million nuclear reactors, I mean, things can get a bit Chernobyl, you know." And like Dean and Sam kind of look at each other like, "What?" when he says this.
Yeah.
So he's like, "Voila, consider me your double agent. And I found your friends as well." Like, it took a while, but Crowley, like, he's a clever one, but I found them. But Balthazar can't get them because the place where they are is warded against angels, presumably to stop Cass. He says,
"Seems that marriage is going swimmingly."
Balthazar with the knowledge and the foresight. Or just the general sight.
Just the general sight. I like that. So Balthazar agrees to get them as close as he can, and he immediately just zaps them. He doesn't help them any further than that. He's like, "Bye, see ya,
peace."
Who knows what city you're in?
Yeah.
They literally could have been in another country, like, you know, like.
Yeah, you're right.
It's ridiculous.
Yep.
If Crowley was clever, he would have put them somewhere like Australia. Like, honestly,
this is
like Michigan or something.
Just down the road.
Yeah.
Or is it one of those things where it's like, it's right under your nose, so you don't think to look there?
Yeah, but like, make it actually physically difficult for them to go there. Like, it would take them longer. We're under time pressure here.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And like, could they not? I don't think they've established that humans can go to hell at this point, because that'd be another place to take them.
Yeah, it totally could have taken them to hell.
Yeah.
Balthazar says, all right, boys, this is where I get off. And then he says, God be with you. And then kind of goes, or what have you. And I feel like the God be with you was almost like a reflex from his angel days. And then he like realized what he said. I love that. And then basically Sam and Dean just go on a demon killing rampage in this warehouse.
Yep.
Like, that's really the only way to describe it. They're just fully like hand-to-hand combat killing all these demons. Remember when demons were a big deal?
I do remember this. What I thought was really funny about this, Sam was never going to be helpful in this because he has a shotgun, right?
Yeah.
And they're trying to be sneaky. Like the first kill, they like stab him in the chest and he goes over the side and Sam carefully puts him on the ground. Like, they're trying to be sneaky. Sam with a shotgun is going to bring out and is going to tell everybody that they're there.
That's ridiculous.
So, of course, he was never going to be helpful. No. Never.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
The other thing I thought was really, really funny, and they do this in movies and TV all the freaking time. Yeah. It's funny when it's funny when you hear it. So I'm taking over just a tiny bit, but like, so we see Ben and Lisa like tied to a stake and all that, or a pole in the middle of the room, and you hear the typical fighting noises of the like swoosh, pamp. I was just like, why can they hear that? Like,
this went on for so long as well. Like, this was such a long scene of them hearing like Dean just like beating up a bunch of demons outside, and it was so like a superhero comic book. Like, it really was. It was full Batman.
Yeah. And he had his like collar popped as well when he comes into the room, and I was just like, all right, John Winchester. Like,
hey, look. He walked into that room, John Winchester. He left that room with John Winchester too.
He certainly did, yeah.
Like Sam gets himself kidnapped during all of this, just like immediately. And then you have to watch two average sized demons drag a giant man. It was so funny.
It really was. Yeah.
It was still like basically.
Luckily they have super strength.
Yeah, he was basically still up to their shoulders while being like dragged along by the knees. Like, it was so funny. So funny. Yeah, so Dean finds Lisa and Ben, they're tied to the pole, kills all the demons. Sam's been kidnapped. He's locked up. So he, can't interfere with this scene.
Yep.
How did Dean get the shotgun? Did Dean have a shotgun and a knife?
In his bag. He has a duffel bag with him.
Yeah, he has a duffel bag with him.
Which he somehow managed to keep through all his hand-to-hand combat. Sure. Okay, fine.
Okay, Batman. That's what I mean. Like, he's got all his gadgets. So Dean goes and cuts their bonds. And then as he does so, Lisa grabs Ben and Ruby's knife and she holds the knife to Ben's neck. Her eyes go black and she says, Brat's not going anywhere, neither am I. So Lisa's been possessed. But Ben hasn't.
She has.
Yeah.
No, he has not. And it's, I mean, the whole lore of being possessed, I think, has gone out the window at this point, because I'm pretty sure there were things that had to be in place before he could be possessed. Yeah. And I do feel like a child would probably be easier to get a hold of because he's stressed, and worried. But there you go. That's fine. Lisa's the one possessed. I'm. That's not a complaint. This is an observation, I guess.
Yeah.
So Crowley, being the businessman that he is, she says,
Crowley thought you might come, so he had me jump this hot little piece of ass for insurance. Can't go losing our leverage now, can we?
And she threatens Dean by saying, don't take a step further, or I'm gonna kill. Mm-hmm. And she sort of turns to Ben, saying, she's awake in here. I can hear what she's thinking. And Dean's like, don't listen to her, Ben. She's gonna say stuff that's not true, all this stuff. And Lisa, back to Dean. All I was gonna say is you're his real daddy. Dean is somewhat, he's not shocked by this. Mm-hmm. He just sort of looks at her, and I'm just like, oh, he got the confirmation. And she then laughs and says, just kidding. Yeah. Who knows who your real dad is? Your mom's a slut. And it's just like, ugh.
Yeah. She's a demon.
Poor Ben.
Yeah, but poor Ben. Honestly, this was horrendous for him.
Because he's what, like 10 years old, 11 years old? He doesn't understand any of this.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if you were to properly explain it, it's his mum telling him these awful things, like things that he probably thinks of himself.
Yeah.
Like, we kind of know that already because he's like, he asked Dean, like, is it him there's the reason why he's leaving? It's like, no, poor Ben.
Yeah.
Lisa then sort of tells more truths. I say truths in quotation marks. You know, that she wishes that she never met Dean and that he was the worst mistake. Well, second worst after keeping you towards Ben.
It's not your mom, Ben. She's lying.
Says a C- lay with 10 miles of daddy issues. Whatever gets you through the night, Tiny Tim.
Dean tries to step forward again, but again she threatens Ben and is again telling Ben stuff that's you shouldn't be saying to a little kid.
Yeah.
So, you know, she's begging me to kill you. She says to you held her back, never had a lick of fun since you were born. Dean is now close enough to them so that he can like throw holy water in her face, and that gets her to like back off and release Ben. Dean goes to Ben and says like, you're going to be fine. They have another standoff because clearly Dean doesn't want to hurt Lisa. And this is back to your point of like, now he cares about the vessel because it's somebody he cares about. But we also have the confirmation that, well, that's the thing. This demon could be lying this entire time. Lisa could have already been dead.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess he wants that confirmation though, right? And at least expel the demon from her body. We talked about before, like one of Dean's like main fears is for him to be possessed. Like he doesn't like being not in control. So to see someone that he really cares about possessed in that same way, because he thinks that's the worst thing that possibly happened to someone, he's trying to like save her in that way. So even if she's already dead, it's important for him that he expels the demon from her body.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So Dean starts the exorcism and it's working somewhat. Like she gets stunned a few times and then eventually she turns around and like stabs herself with something like a piece of metal. And she's like, well, you know, if I leave, she's going to die. Like, she's got this mortal wound. And
I'm sorry, but like, is it?
Wrong spot, right? Wrong spot. Like, there were other places that maybe, I don't know. I was going to jump into like, maybe like she can't completely kill the vessel while she's inside, but that's probably not true.
You definitely can, because there are demons that possess dead bodies and like have died while they've been possessing. That definitely has happened.
Right, because they've shot them and they've stood back up. So yeah, think
of Meg's original vessel. Definitely, yeah.
Right, yeah, she fell out of like a building, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense.
It's just fine. They needed something that like they needed a wound that was like bad enough that they had, but was still not bad enough they had time to fix it. Yeah, so this is kind of perfect.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, basically. So he finishes off the exorcism and the demon gets expelled. But then Lisa drops to the floor and they both run to her and she's still cognizant enough that she can put pressure on the wound, but not enough for sure. Like she's, dying there. Dean tries to call Sam, but goes straight to voicemail because he's still knocked out on the floor.
Yeah, absolutely. Not what's the opposite of an MVP? That's Sam in this episode.
Yeah. The weakest link.
Yeah, weakest link.
And so then it's now up to Ben to stand up to the plate, which I don't know how I feel about this, because at the beginning of this season, Dean was like, no, you're not going to learn anything about anything. You're going to have to suck it up that I don't want you to know anything, and I'm going to yell at you, and you're going to get upset. And then when Dean needs him, this is when you expect him to like come up to the plate, and it's just like, no, you're asking too much of this kid. And this is the biggest problem I have with this whole bit, because he's like, we're gonna get out of here, and Ben is clearly frozen, and then he slaps him across the face. I really didn't like that. I know he's trying to like get him out of it, But I was like, no, like
100%.
there are other things you could have done. Obviously everyone's panicked. You're trying to get to, but like it felt very like you said, John Winchester got into that room, and
he was possessed by the ghost of John Winchester. I honestly do believe that. I think that this is Dean reacting in the only way that he knows how, because he's been Ben, right? He's been Ben in that situation, and he is acting out exactly what happened to him with John, and I 100% believe that. Like, he's been in this situation as a child, being told to do something, and has frozen up, and this is how John acted. And because Dean is panicked because Lisa is dying, he has reverted back to like default mode of like, this is how you act in this situation, because that's what he's been taught. And I don't think if he was in his right mind, he would. I don't fully believe that he would do that, but I think that that's what you do, right? You fall into old patterns when you're panicked.
Yeah, you're right. Yep. And but I'm just like, oh, I don't know. Neither of us like John Winchester.
Yeah.
And I think this is why I don't like it, because it really is just like, I'm going to teach you how to be a hunter in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
And like, as this scene carries on, I'm like, having their memories wiped is the kindest thing that he could ever do for them.
I fully believe that it was for Ben's sake that he did that rather than Lisa's.
I agree. Yep. Because I honestly don't think Lisa regrets anything to do with Dean. She fully loves the guy, but he knows that Ben doesn't deserve the trauma that he has just caused, and like the things that Ben has been through and seen, because obviously he was a changeling for a little bit when he was much younger. Then seeing his like potential stepdad be murdered in front of him, and you know, all these other things, you're just like, yeah, no, this is actually like the biggest kindness that you can do, which kind of annoys me that Sam is like, oh, you know, what you just did was really stupid. It's like, actually, think about your childhood. Think about what this child has to now potentially live with. And you'll see that actually this is perfect.
Because Sam's childhood was different to Dean's childhood, because he had Dean as a buffer between him and John, whereas Dean didn't, right?
That's very true.
And I think this whole bit, there's a bit where like Dean looks at Ben like holding the shotgun that he's told him to go get, and you can see in his eyes like, oh, what am I doing? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm turning this like boy into me, and I don't want him to be me. Like, I'm a terrible person. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah. And that, I fully believe that he like wiped their memories to kind of save Ben from turning into a hunter, essentially. Yeah. And also, like, all the things that demon said to him as his mother were horrendous. And just, it doesn't so much keep them safe, because they are still in danger of, like, being used against Dean. It is just more, like, I don't know, saving them from the pain he's inflicted on them. It's really sad.
It really is, but it's so good.
It's really sad. And it's still all John Winchester's fault. Like 100%, 100%, always.
Always.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, because I also hated this section. I don't think there's any instance ever that like slapping a kid makes any situation any better. Like, never.
No.
So,
never.
like...
Never. No. So then, so he tells him to get the assault shotgun out, and he's going to carry Lisa as they go. And he says, if you see anything come at us, you shoot it. As they're walking, he also tells him to pick up the knife, and he quickly gives him a tutorial on how to shoot. Like, he said, keep your elbow in, gun tight to your shoulder, watch for the kick. And as the demon walks towards them, he yells at Ben, and Ben sort of shoots it. And like, he thinks he's killed this person.
Yeah.
Clearly. He doesn't know that demons don't die from this. It's just like he's been knocked out, basically. So he, again, another massive trauma that he thinks he just killed somebody. Like, ugh. And then as they're walking by like a metal door, you hear Sam yelling from inside a room. Dean then puts Lisa down and like shoots the lock so that Sam can get out, and tells him that they have to get to a hospital. he tells Ben to then give the gun to Sam, and that they need to get like a car. So Sam has gone and like hotwired a Jeep, and they drive to a hospital nearby, and he's like, Dean is trying to reassure Ben that she's going to be fine and that we're almost there, and like telling Sam to go faster. And he's just like, you're going to be fine, you're going to be fine.
It's so stressful. They never try to pray to Balthazar during this, which I thought was really like, come on.
Weird.
Yeah. Or Cass.
I'm like, or Cass, like yeah, I know that they've just had another massive falling out, but like, you don't have to be that self-reliant, Dean. Like, you can, you know that Cass can do so much. He literally brought Bobby back from the dead. Like, come on.
And surely the angel proofing on the warehouse where they were was proof that Cass didn't know about the plan to take Lisa and Ben. So, like, surely he's all right. I guess they just don't know how far to trust him at this point. Like, I do get that. But, like, Balthazar said he's on their side. Like, and he took them to where he needed to be. I don't know. I just feel like they could have at least asked.
Yeah. I guess they don't trust Balthazar because he is always out for himself. And, like, he was like, peace. Like, he didn't even wait around to find out, like, if they would need help. It was just like, all right, I've fulfilled my end of the bargain. Like, see ya.
Yeah. I mean, they do manage to get to the hospital, and Lisa's all hooked up to machines and things, and Dean and Ben are on either side of the bed. Dean apologizes to Ben, and Ben just gets up and leaves. Like, he's fully done with Dean's shenanigans. Like, I think the situation in the warehouse and him, like, making him do those things completely broke any kind of trust between them at all.
Like, Ben also blames Dean at this point, because he's like, you walked out on us, and this is what happened when you walked out. If you were there, you could have protected us in the first place, and we wouldn't have had to go through all the stuff that, you know, we went through.
That's so true, because, like, ultimately, Ben rang Dean for help. Like, he knew he could help him. So, like, you're right. He thinks if he was there, he could have saved them. Because he literally looks up to him. Like, for him, Dean is like a superhero, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Dean can do anything and everything. And what I think's really funny is that Dean and Ben are exactly the same in this scene, because it's just
he is
the blame,
his kid,
the blame game.
right? He so is his kid. Like, I'm sorry, but like he has the Winchester genetics of like, he just does. Okay,
he does. Yep.
So yeah, and then Cass appears when Ben leaves, and Dean's like, "What do you want?"
Because that was the only convenient time, because he was there the whole time. He was watching them.
You're so right. God damn it, Cass. You're making it hard to love you, Cass, to be honest. So, Cass is like, Dean, listen. And he's like, what do you want me to say? She'll be dead by midnight. So Lisa's still dying at this point, like she's not saved.
I'm sorry. I don't care. It's too little, too late.
Okay. Well, regardless, I didn't come for you.
So he goes over and heals Lisa by placing his hand on her forehead and says, she's fine now. She'll wake up soon. Like, I said, I'm sorry, and I meant it. And Dean's, I love this between them.
I wish this changed anything.
I know. So do I. All else aside, I just wanted to fix what I could.
Oh, like, I don't know. I did that, like, I wish this changed anything. I don't know.
The thing, like, I feel like if you've been through a breakup, you know what this is. Like, it's just like, they do, like, a really kind thing for you, but it's just not enough.
It's not, it's not enough. It's over. Yeah. The thing's already broken. Like, you can't put it back together. It doesn't matter if you're, like, sweeping up the pieces.
Yeah, exactly. It's just because
they're like, we love each other, but no, it's too broken between us.
Exactly. And what I think is kind of this is also confirmation that Cass realizes that it's broken, because at the end of the end of last episode, he said there's nothing is broken.
Yeah, that's so true.
Like, there's nothing to fix, and now he's like, well, actually, I'm here just to fix the one thing that I can.
I think Cass realizes that when like Dean didn't ask him for help to like heal Lisa, like he had to come himself. Like he fully doesn't trust him anymore, right? To help them with anything.
True.
They're fully not calling for him. Oh, that's so sad. This is also tragic. I love it so much.
Well, we know Lisa. We know that Sarah can write a good tragic episode. Yeah. I just think of Faith.
100%. You're so right. Yeah, we love a good tragedy. So Cass starts to walk away, and Dean says, "Well, there's one more thing you could do." And then there's like a little time skip, and we see. Go on.
Sorry, but like, Dean, come on. Like Cass is asking you for one thing, and Cass has already pointed out that like he will do anything for you and will continue to do anything for you, and yet you ask for more, and the one thing that Cass is asking you to do, you're so stubborn on and like won't listen to what that plan is to make an actual decision. And it's just like Cass has given up talking to you because you don't listen. Yeah. And yet you're asking for more.
And yet Cass still does everything for him. Like, he's still doing it. This is such a bad relationship. It should be over.
And it continues.
Yeah.
It continues forever. Cass sacrifices for Dean all the flipping time.
Over and over and over again until it eventually causes his death. Like, that's Cass's story. He sacrifices everything for Dean. Everything.
And then when he decides that he doesn't want to do that anymore, like, it all goes to pot. Like, when he decides he wants to be with the bees.
And like
his mind literally has to break.
Yeah.
For him to have a break.
I think of like Jack, right? Jack was the red line, you know? When Dean was like, no, we can't trust Jack, and Cass was like, no, he's my kid. Like, this is more important than me. This isn't more important than me and you. And all the stuff we've been through, this is more important. Like, that was the red line eventually, I think, Jack. So it's really interesting.
Which is kind of similar for here, because it's also the line for Dean.
Yeah, Lisa and Ben was the line. That's why they broke up, kind of.
Yeah.
Because they were there was already the breakup. The breakup happened. The nail in the coffin of the breakup was Lisa and Ben.
Right, being kidnapped.
Yeah. It's interesting.
No.
Yeah. I love their relationship so much. It's so messed up. They're even I feel like they're even more codependent than like Dean and Sam, but in like a worse way.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. In a so much more unhealthy way. And like whatever Dean and Sam's got going on is really unhealthy.
Right. And like I was gonna say, like, they you know, the violence between the two of them, but I mean there's violence between Sam and Dean too. So
yeah, that, and also like the fact that Cass's whole existence is basically sacrificing himself for Dean over and over again and just not being appreciated for it. Like, at least like
acknowledge it.
No. He gets nothing. Cass gets nothing. I'm so mad about this. He gets nothing at the end. He gets nothing.
He literally goes to the empty.
He does the whole I'm going with the despair here. He does the whole confession and just gets nothing back. He gets like nothing back.
Nothing. Nope.
Like, and I know people say like there's nuance in the acting and stuff, and like I would agree with you, but ultimately he gets nothing back, and then he dies.
Right, and like, yeah, I cannot forgive off-screen Cass in the last episode.
No.
I can't
either. I was like literally like shouting at the TV, "Where's Cass? Where's Cass? He's gonna be in the next scene, right?
Yeah.
Right? Oh, it still hurts. Like, I was so hurtful.
It still hurts.
Yeah. Anyway. So yes, we get a time skip after Cass walks away, and Lisa is up and awake and talking to Ben, and they're like, Ben's like, "Hey, Mom, like, you're in the hospital." We see Dean like lingering outside. So Ben explains that they were in a car crash, that they're fine, but she hit her head pretty bad. Obviously, that's not what happened.
Right.
Dean knocks on and comes inside, and he's like, "Hi." Lisa gives him like a look, like, how you doing?
It's like the attraction's still there.
Yeah, like even the mind whammy is not enough to be like, hey.
Yeah.
And Ben says, who are you? So he says all of this so emotionally, like this was such good acting, like he seems so genuinely sorry.
I'm Dean. The guy who hit you.
I hated that. I'm sorry, but like, because it's like, I'm the one who caused this, all this pain, like I'm the one who caused this. And it's kind of like a half-truth.
I just, I lost control for a minute. And I just wanted to say that I'm sorry. I'm real happy you two are both okay. And, I'm glad your life can get back to normal now.
And Lisa says, we're okay. And that's what's important, right? And he's just like, yeah. He goes, I'll leave you two alone. And as he walks away, he says to Ben, you take care of your mom. And then he's like, walking away like, little crying man.
Yeah.
It's super sad. I'll be honest, it's super sad because I don't know. I think there's something worse about like someone not remembering you at all. Do you know what I mean? Like only you have those memories. It's awful, I think. Mm-hmm. And I guess for him to like willingly do that for entirely, I think people will say, I think Sam says it in the second that like he says he's called it's selfish. I don't think it was selfish at all. I think it was actually completely selfless. It's such a painful thing to do. And he is ultimately, like I said, it doesn't protect him. It doesn't really protect them. Like, demons could still go after them. Like, they could still be used as, like, something against
because
Dean.
It's not like there's a big notice board saying that, like, hey, Lisa and Ben have nothing to do with me anymore. Like, they don't know who I am. Like, nobody knows this. Nobody cares about this.
And he still has all the memories, so he knows that he cares about them, right? And that is what would matter to, like, bad guys. So yeah, all the things we talked about, and I think mostly for Ben to give him a childhood, the childhood that Dean never had. Maybe he is Dean's kid, maybe he isn't, but I feel like this is Dean like almost breaking the cycle and letting Dean letting Ben be a kid, because he's seen what happens to Ben if he's in his life. Like he ultimately would end up going down the same path as Dean because he's already had a lot of that same trauma.
Right, exactly. There's also, as you're, going through this, I'm like, the sort of ripple effect that the task that Dean has just given Cass, because you got to remember, Matt, I think his name is, right?
Yeah.
Matt or Mike, the boyfriend, he was murdered in their living room. Their house was destroyed. They have Cass has to go back and like change the memories of everything around them so that people don't remember that like either Matt died tragically in some sort of accident and like so he's not asking for one thing, he's asking for something huge.
He really is. There's a lot involved in that, like to rearrange their lives so that Dean was never in it. Like it's a lot because they've got like friends and neighbors that be like, hey, what happened to your old boyfriend?
And they're going to be like, who?
Yeah.
So the thing I was going to mention at the beginning of the episode was this is the one time that something worked in supernatural perfectly.
Yeah, you're right.
Because they never return. Obviously, this is for plot reasons, and it's why the next scene happens because of plot reasons. Yeah. But like, I do kind of wish that like when Cass becomes human, some of his stuff starts to mess up so that we could see what had happened and like have Ben come back in some kind of way, or Lisa, either one, and like give Dean some sort of closure that like maybe Ben can come back and be like, look, I'm pissed that you erased us from your life, or like you erased yourself from our lives, but thank you for giving me something, or like just a little bit of like, this is what happened to us. And I mean, I don't know how you you would sort of work that in, and like maybe Ben does become a hunter because his memories return, and like they come across each other, and it's just like, what are you doing? And but then obviously Ben would be killed because he's a character that comes back and blah blah blah. So we wouldn't want to see that. But like just to give Dean like a really nice, you guys were okay, and it worked out for you because I did this. Like, because oftentimes when Dean sacrifices himself or something of himself, it doesn't always work out the way that it should, and like backfires in a way. So it would be nice at this one time that it actually worked, and worked for the betterment of other people.
Yeah, I mean, but then this does work. Like, them being gone and Dean being sad about it works canonically, like, because Dean never has another relationship after this. That's in true. The whole of the show. Like, this is it. This is the only girlfriend he has or ever has. It ended badly, and then he never dates anybody else. Like, that was it for him. He had his chance at having a happy ending, and now he's like, no, it's not for me. And this is what he says with Sam. So, like, he comes out of the hospital. Sam's waiting by the car. I don't know how they got the Impala there. I don't even ask that. I'm not sure. And Sam says, like, Dean, you pulled some shady crap before, but this has got to be the worst. Whitewashing their memories. Take it from someone who knows, like, you know, with the wall and everything. Sam, this isn't about you. Sorry.
Right. Let Dean have his moment. Come on.
This is different.
If you ever mention Lisa or Ben to me again, I will break your nose. Dean, I'm not kidding.
And, like, Sam's about to say something, but then, like, he's basically on the verge of tears, so Sam just, like, drops it. I'll do the last scene, then we'll talk about that. So, like, the last bit is, like, basically Dr. Vizsla just getting, like, abducted by Cass. Like, that's it. Yeah. Like, she goes outside to her car, and Cass is like, hi, and then just, like, takes her. So that's happening next episode. Yeah. I think, I do honestly think that, like, part of the reason that, like, no, the full reason that we never see Dean have another relationship is because of this. And the only other person viably he could have a relationship with is Cass. Like, if you actually read into, like, the canon and who he has in his circle, like...
Right.
But then he could never let that happen, because what if this happens again, you know? And he ends up having to erase himself from Cass's life. Like, he couldn't come back from that, I don't think.
No.
Like,
no, I don't think so either.
So I know we said when we first met Lisa, like, I know a lot of people like crap on her character, but she is extremely important in, like, who Dean is as a person, because of their, like, what he almost had and then what he gave up, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Because I think he was planning to go back to them after, I don't know, everything. They did whatever they needed to do again. Although, like, you know, Lisa said that she wouldn't wait for him. In the back of
she would.
Yeah, you know, I know she was dating, like, Matt or whatever, but, like, I think if he'd really gone to her and been like, it's, you know, it's over. I've completely done this, and Sam's in with this too, and I can't see that she would have said no to him.
I agree.
It's really, Yep. So she was his chance at his apple pie, white picket fence life that he always wanted, and all season 6 did was prove that was never going to be possible for him. Like, he couldn't have it. So, yeah, it's sad. And that
it is really sad.
That's why he was so restless once they did save the world and they defeated Chuck and stuff. Because, like, what do? You know, you have nobody to spend it with. Everyone you love, apart from your brother, is dead. And, like, how do you then build this, like, life from that? And that's why he went back to hunting, because that's all that he knew how to do. And that's why the ending sucked.
Right, yeah, exactly. And I mean, what you were saying with, like, who he surrounds himself with, you know, when he does come into contact with other women, I mean, oftentimes it's women who are not really age appropriate anyway. But, like, someone like Donna, he could have totally had it, like, but he treats every woman that he meets as a sister after this.
Absolutely.
Like, I cannot see you in a romantic light because it's just No.
Yeah, anyone that would be like a viable, like actually get to know you relationship is completely like, no, cut off. You're right. Relegated to family mode. 100%.
Exactly.
Yeah. If they had actually retired, like this is, you know, what would happen? Like Sam would have ended up with Eileen, and then Dean would have been the like bachelor uncle for the rest of his life, right? Because Cass is dead.
Yeah,
everyone
I guess
else is
so.
dead. I'd really like, that's all I can think that would happen, because I think Lisa and Ben made this whole situation made him so afraid of commitment that it could like never. It could never happen.
It could never happen. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm reading way too much into this, but I don't think it's a coincidence that we never see Dean have another relationship. But where we do see Sam have a few, right? There's Dog Lady.
Yes.
There's Eileen, obviously. There's someone else as well, I feel.
Yeah. I mean, there's Blurry Wife, but...
No,
I
Blurry
don't know
Wife
if
is
that counts.
Eileen. I'm never accepting that that's not. I don't care what the writers say. I don't care. I fight with them so much on this podcast, like in my own head, that like if she wasn't Eileen, then why give her also like long dark hair? And I don't know. I just think it's ridiculous. It's the ridiculous concept that it wasn't like she wasn't Eileen. Like, it's just why would you even suggest that they weren't together?
It wasn't. Yeah.
I don't understand that.
I don't understand either.
I think that actually makes me more mad than Dean dying. Like that, because that was so easily like a thing that you could just commit to for the finale.
Right.
And they didn't even commit to that.
No. Nope, they didn't. No, they did not.
Just commit. Just tell us what happens. Maybe that's like...
Yes.
Maybe that's the real moral of Supernatural. Maybe the finale is what it is because Chuck was dead, and so we don't get to know what happened. And it's just like an urban legend where you only hear bits and pieces about like what maybe could have happened, so that actually everything that happened after Chuck died isn't actually real.
So the world was actually destroyed, and it's like someone's
No,
dream.
because like we don't know anymore because Chuck's not writing it, so we don't get to know.
Yeah,
and it's
true.
just like tangentially told to us through other sources, and that's why it seems so off, because it's not being told by like the primary narrator anymore. It's being told by like, you know, hearsay.
It's being told by Jack, who doesn't know how to write because he's a baby, so he's just like...
No, but
I'm going to put
But
them...
Jack would have brought Cass back. That doesn't work because Jack would have brought Cass back.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Sorry.
True. Yep. No, you're right. You are right.
I'm trying to get, yeah. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It was stupid and the wig was bad.
It was.
Yes. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed this episode. I think it's good. I think it's a really good character study of Dean. I think it's a good example of John Winchester still haunting the narrative of Supernatural. Like he's still there. Like
I find it interesting that it's like a season 1 writer that did this too. Like we've talked about this all through season 6, where like some of the episodes are not very well paced. They're sort of a little like they don't always feel like Sam and Dean as characters. Whereas this one, there was something about just even how the episode is presented. It's just really well done, and it has that sort of like a forward momentum that we've been missing for a lot of this season. And like we said at the beginning, like this could have easily been the second half of the season.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Versus just one episode. And I think it comes down to the fact that it's a seasoned writer, and she knows what she's doing with these characters. Obviously, like, we know Sarah Gamble had her own issues with some of the characters in it. But I do feel like she put that aside for this episode because the Dean and Cass moments are really well done.
Yeah. I agree. Like, it does feel different. And yeah, I don't understand why this wasn't just the second half of the season. They could have got to this point so much quicker, and then they could have explored some of the themes so much more. And I don't know. It's just, I don't know. it's fine, I guess. It has to be. This is what it is.
I mean, yeah. I guess the thing is, like, I think I mentioned this before, maybe in season 4, that like some of the episodes felt like they should have been back to back without the breaks in it. Maybe it was season 5. And I do feel like we could do the same thing with this season, but there's even less episodes. I really feel like there's maybe like 1 episode from the beginning of the season and then like maybe 4 or 5 from the second half that you really need to watch to really understand what's going on. Like, I don't think you even need to know about Eve.
No, you don't.
Like, if you took Eve out of it, like, okay, the betrayal is a bit harder to understand, but like not that much. And you take, you know, I said this at the time when And Then There Were None. Like, I didn't remember if Samuel Campbell's death really meant anything, and it hasn't.
It hasn't. Right. They got their hands on their journals, but they could have got them with him being alive too. They could have just broken into his place and gone. You know, like it wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah.
There's a lot in this season. Like, I feel like you could have watched, because like Soulless Sam was. I think this is the problem. That Soulless Sam took up so much headspace in this season.
He did. Yeah. Yeah, it was too much.
It was too much. Yeah. I'm looking forward to the next episode and actually like figuring out what happens, because all I remember is the scene in the like lab, and that's it. That's all I remember.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
I think I said a lot in this episode. I guess people can agree or disagree, but that's what we're here for.
That is exactly what we're
precisely.
Here for. We're here to express our feelings and hopefully, get over them.
What was it that Misha said to you? Was it some kind of therapy?
Yes, that's what he said to me.
You were like, yeah, and I was like, yeah. Over the other side of the room, I was like, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So the next episode is The Man Who Knew Too Much.
It sounds like a James Bond title, but I'm not sure.
Oh, it does, doesn't it? Yeah. I was just thinking it played too closely to The Man Who Would Be King.
I think that's intentional.
Okay.
Because it's another cast episode, kind of, not really.
I mean, season end.
It is. I'm excited. I can't believe we got through season 6. We did it. I feel like
we did it.
If I was ranking them, this would be 6 out of 6 so far. But maybe the finale will bring it back.
I don't. Oh, do I agree? No, yeah, I do agree. Actually, yeah, I do agree.
That doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that it's not as good as the first 5 seasons. And I think that was the general consensus. To be fair, at the time.
Yeah,
because it's just different.
Think for me, season 2 is like 1.
Yeah,
right for me.
I think season 4 is probably 1 for me.
Oh, that's because of casting.
Yeah, I'm just biased. I'm very biased. Like, I fully admit that.
In terms of storytelling, I feel like season 2 is like really good.
It is good. It is good. But then season 4 opens on Lazarus Rising. Opens.
Oh, that's true.
And you can't.
Yeah, you're right.
There's no coming down from that. Anyway,
that's true. That's very true. Yeah. All right. So I think we've got most of our thoughts out.
I think so too.
Right?
Let's go into the finale, feeling fresh, feeling fine, thinking about. We've also have our minds wiped. Go into it feeling good.
Yes, exactly. So, at the end of the episode, we'd like to thank the Pixel Agora for his amazing logo art and also coming on the episode last week or last time. It was really fun. And I have a lot to edit. And if you want to come talk to us about this episode or any other episode, really, you can reach us on all of the social media and also on Spotify. If you can actually leave comments and we can see them and publish them and all that kind of stuff. So, feel free to write anything anywhere. We are Escaping Purgatory on most things: Tumblr, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and Escaping Podcast on Twitter.
So this week we sat on the sofa and ate like a gallon of ice cream and watched some sad movies because the breakup is official, guys. So hopefully next week we can find our way out. Bye.
Bye. That was great.